It's not fan service, it's not a coincidence, and it's not imagination. Taehyung and Jungkook have left their mark on every gesture, confirming that their relationship isn't an act. Many people claim that Taehyung and Jungkook are simply friends, but when you examine the details and observe their behavior at different times, that theory falls apart. Sleeping together isn't something common between mere companions. It's not a habit that's repeated so many times without a deeper reason. There are multiple video recordings of Taehyung and Jungkook sharing a bed, even when there are different options available. This isn't part of a show, nor an idea created by Taehyung fans. The glances they share when they're lying together aren't those of people who are simply friends. The way they understand each other in silence, their body language, the ease they display next to each other, speaks of a connection that isn't based on the superficial. Nor is it a moment specifically to entertain fans. They do it when there are no cameras, when there's no pressure to show anything. These aren't acted gestures or created for a video. They're natural, sincere, private scenes. In addition, there are other, more subtle gestures that reinforce this reality. The hands that touch when there's no need to touch. The shared silences that don't make you uncomfortable, but rather comfort you. If you look at them without prejudice, it's very easy to notice that what Taehyung and Jungkook do goes beyond what many are willing to accept. These aren't assumptions, but clear and repeated moments that show an intimate, constant relationship, sustained over time. When Taehyung and Jungkook share silences and subtle touches, they aren't acting. They're letting their true love story speak without the need for words or public proof. The relationship between Taehyung and Jungkook doesn't need public explanations or exaggerated displays. Everything is expressed in what they do when there are no cameras or when they act as if no one is watching. Instead of words, they build their bond through small details, sharing an early morning coffee, creating a playlist without saying anything, or simply brushing hands under the table. Many don't understand this kind of love because they expect live kisses or open declarations. But what happens between Taehyung and Jungkook doesn't depend on what others believe. They are comfortable with each other. And that's what matters. The cameras may be off, but their way of looking at each other remains the same. The smile they show when they're close isn't the same one they offer to others. It's a smile that holds a story behind it, one that not everyone can see, but that Taekookers have learned to recognize. Furthermore, there are moments that only happen when they think they're not being watched, laughter that sounds different, hugs that last longer than expected, synchronized steps as if they've rehearsed their walk together for years. They don't do it to please anyone, but because it's natural between them. When they hold hands under a table or share a space without saying anything, they're not acting. They're living their reality together. When Jungkook confessed that Taehyung was his happiness preacher, he wasn't joking. Every time he's around him, his face changes naturally, as if everything else stops mattering. Taehyung and Jungkook don't need to explain what's going on between them. There's something very clear that anyone can see if they look closely: the way Jungkook reacts when Taehyung is by his side. His gestures, his eyes, even his way of moving transform. When they're apart, Jungkook seems to be in another world, his gaze lowered or distracted. He's not the same. But as soon as Taehyung appears, his face relaxes, his lips smile, and his energy soars. It's a visible, strong, and constant change. This transformation doesn't happen just once. It's something repeated, and can be seen in recordings, presentations, and behind-the-scenes moments. The most impressive thing is that it's not planned. There are no cameras in front of them forcing them to act. Everything happens naturally, as if Taehyung's presence is enough to make Jungkook feel whole again. They don't talk much, they don't make noise, they just stay close. And that silence between them says much more than any words. It's also clear that they don't need anyone else to feel comfortable. They don't seek to fill spaces or be distracted by others. Happiness lies in simply being together. They understand each other with glances, they seek each other out without thinking, and they complete each other with small gestures. This is how their bond is confirmed. They don't force it. They don't exaggerate it. They just show each other as they are, two people who choose to be with each other, even in the midst of so many eyes. Over the years, the relationship between Taehyung and Jungkook has been observed, questioned, and commented on by many people. Some reduce it to fan service, as if every gesture or moment shared was planned to entertain. However, that idea doesn't stand up to analysis when examined closely. What exists between them isn't limited to what they show in front of the cameras. There are many off-screen moments, leaked recordings, or spontaneous recordings where the closeness between them is even more intense. This shows that their relationship isn't dependent on a script or an intention to sell an image. Many of these moments have been minimized by people who prefer to see other relationships as more believable. Jikookers, for example, often take Taehyung and Jungkook's actions out of context, trying to erase any hint of a romantic relationship between them. But the truth stands on its own. No one pretends for so many years, so consistently, if they don't feel something real. What we see between them is trust, affection, emotional and physical closeness, and above all, choice. Because whenever they can, they choose each other. There's also the issue of time. Their relationship isn't something that suddenly appeared. It's not a fandom fad. It's a bond that dates back to the early years of their careers, one that has grown, strengthened, and maintained despite the cameras, the contracts, the rumors. They've gone through different stages, but they always return to that common ground that only they know. The natural way they look at each other and understand each other isn't something learned in a rehearsal. It's the kind of connection that's built over years of intimacy. There are those who still insist that Taehyung and Jungkook's relationship is just fan service. Some even compare their relationship to others within the group, or try to discredit what Taehyung fans have observed for years. However, these comments often ignore the consistency of gestures, shared decisions, and repeated intimate moments that have occurred over time. It's no coincidence that the two appear together off camera, that they share personal moments without needing to show it to the public. This doesn't happen by strategy, but by choice. Their relationship doesn't follow a script or respond to external pressures. Nor is it limited to what is seen in concerts or interviews. In fact, their most meaningful moments happen when they are offstage, walks at night, whispered conversations, silent dances. These scenes don't seek attention, but they are clear to those who know how to interpret signals. The most important thing is how they have maintained their union over time. Instead of distancing themselves or acting distant, Taehyung and Jungkook have grown closer. They continue to build a shared routine, even if they don't talk about it in public. That kind of bond isn't faked or improvised. It requires trust, shared history, and constant affection. Even when others try to downplay what's seen, Taehyung and Jungkook continue to show their true colors naturally. They don't need to defend themselves, because their relationship doesn't depend on the approval of others. True Taehyung fans understand this. They know the bond they display is authentic. They don't disguise it or exaggerate it. They keep it real, simple, and strong. Every gesture carries weight. Every moment they share has meaning. The bond between Taehyung and Jungkook doesn't depend on words. Public declarations aren't necessary when actions speak louder. Jungkook once said it clearly, "Taehyung is my happiness preacher." It wasn't just a phrase spoken for the sake of it. It was a direct truth, spoken calmly, yet with weight. And that phrase has been confirmed many times with actions. From their glances to the simplest moments shared, they have shown that their relationship goes beyond what anyone can imagine. They don't try to prove anything to the world. They don't go out of their way to convince anyone. Still, the videos, photos, and moments saved over the years make it clear that there is something strong, real, and lasting between them. They seek each other out without looking away, they accompany each other in silence, and they care for each other with small gestures. Even when some try to ignore or discredit it, that proof remains. Nothing can erase what they have naturally shown. It's not a game or something they do to be seen. The love scene between them is not manufactured. It's constant. It remains steadfast over time, despite the comments and doubts others may have. And as long as they remain happy together, that's all that matters to those who know them well. They don't need to keep explaining everything. Their story tells itself. The Taekookers have been attentive from the beginning. They've cherished every important moment, defended their bond with respect, and valued it without asking for proof. They know that the love between them isn't defined by what others say, but by what they do. And every time they smile next to each other, every time they touch without looking at the camera, they're saying that they're still meant for each other. That's why this story continues to be cherished and celebrated. Not for the noise it may make, but for what it means. Taehyung and Jungkook have chosen to continue walking together, and as long as they do, the Taekookers will continue to protect what they've seen grow. Because this love doesn't need to be shouted out to be real. It just needs to continue being lived, just as it has been.